Good morning, Elmira Baptist Church. Today is July 28th, and it is our weekly update, and frankly, this month has gone by way too quickly. This month being the first full month of summer. Summer technically starts June 21st, so boy, it just seems like we're speeding right along through summer here, and just beautiful weather recently. Nice, cool mornings. Get up, have a cup of coffee. For me, some of you may have a cup of tea, something hot. Get yourself warmed up. A little bit too warm in the afternoons, but very pleasant evenings. I'm really enjoying it. God is good. Let me give you a quote today. Raymond Edman said this: "I had utterly abandoned myself to Him. Could any choice be as wonderful as His will? Could any place be safer than the center of His will? Did not He assure me by His very presence that His thoughts toward us are good and not evil? Death to my own plans and desires was almost deliriously delightful. Everything was laid at His nail-scarred feet, life or death, health or illness, appreciation by others or misunderstanding, success or failure as measured by human standards. Only He Himself mattered." End quote. We'll be coming back to that, I think, a little bit later. I was so glad, personally was blessed and was so glad to hear about the results from camp this last Sunday evening. If you missed that chance to hear from our children and teens about camp, go back, find it on sermon audio. I have entitled the sermon "The 4 C's of Youth." But if you're going to see the children, you'll have to go back to the Facebook page and take a look at it there. Maybe I'll see if I can get that up to the sermon audio page so you can see the testimonies. It's a blessing to see God at work in our children's lives. It's a blessing because we're praying for that. And this is an answer to prayer. So thank you for praying, and I'm asking you to continue to pray for God's work in our children and in our teens' lives here in the weeks and the months to come. Now, this coming Sunday, we'll meet, as we always do, to worship God and to illustrate inspiration, preservation, and canonization. I want to preach about Jeremiah, Baruch, and King Jehoiakim. You can read Jeremiah chapter 36 to get some context for the sermon, and definitely pray for me. Then in the evening, we're going to do a Singspiration, and we've got some special music scheduled, planned. You don't want to miss it. So plan to come on out on Sunday evening and be a part of that. We'll be doing some congregational singing. And then in addition, I'm going to preach about the lost art of congregational singing. The lost art of congregational singing. If you read Nehemiah chapter 12, verses 27 through 43, again, you'll catch the context for that. By the way, as you're reading Nehemiah chapter 12, don't worry about mispronouncing the names. You just do your best to read the chapter. Come on out Sunday night and see if I can pronounce them. Don't forget that after the evening meeting for worship, we're going to have a quarterly business meeting for the church, and I want to encourage all of you who are members to be out for that. We will live stream Sunday school, morning worship, and evening worship, but we will not live stream the business meeting because that isn't open to the public. But if you're a member, you come on and join us that evening for our quarterly business meeting. Here's our upcoming schedule. This Saturday, July 30th, 2 days from now, 11 o'clock in the morning, there'll be a celebration of life for Rose Schmidt. She has been such a blessing to our church, and even if you have not met her, you're welcome as a member of Elmira Baptist Church to come out and join us on that Saturday to celebrate her life. So that's this Saturday, 11 o'clock in the morning. It's being held at Faith Community Church. Faith Community Church. Sunday, as I mentioned, there'll be a Singspiration in the evening, followed by that quarterly business meeting. On Sunday, August 14th, we need to have a teachers meeting. So we'll do that. We'll have a teachers meeting right after the morning service. And then Thursday, August 18th to Saturday, August 20th is the Father-Son Camp at Pilot Lake. And then our next Food and Fellowship will be Sunday, August 28th. Sunday, August 28th will be our next Food and Fellowship. A couple of prayer requests. I mentioned praying for the ongoing results of camp in the lives of our young people. And also, if you would pray for our government leaders. We're commanded to pray for them. They certainly need us to pray for them. So pray for our president, our vice president, the governor here of our state of California. Pray for our local county board of supervisors. And if you don't know who your representative is on that county board of supervisors, please do some searching on Google, DuckDuckGo, whatever search engine you use to find out who your representative is. For our devotional this morning, turn to Psalm 37. Psalm 37. We're going to be looking at this psalm bits and pieces over the next month. Psalm 37. I'm going to read to you verses 1 through 4 this morning. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord, and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Verse 4 there is the one we know really well. But notice what it starts with. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. Then it goes on in verse 3 to say, trust in the Lord and do good. So the temptation that the psalmist is warning us about here is the temptation to look at people who are doing evil, people who are doing wrong, people who are in rebellion against God, but who seem to prosper, and to be envious of them. To be worried and to fret is to be worried and to be uneasy and to lose our sense of peace because they're getting away with wrong. We can often wish that we were enjoying the success, the seeming success that the wicked enjoy. I think of politicians who invest their money, just like the rest of us do, but seem to make huge returns. They're making these huge returns off the labor and the hard work of the middle class. And we wonder, is that fair? My brothers and I were joking about starting a mutual fund that simply mimicked the buys and the sells of politicians. You could have a mutual fund for the politicians who are in Congress, in the House of Representatives, one for the senators, one for the entire Congress. You could even have one that just mimicked the buys and sells of Hunter Biden. I understand our president believes he's one of the smartest men in the world. Boy, wouldn't that be great if we could have the same success in the stock market that they did? It's easy to become fretful, bothered, to lose our sense of peace because it seems like they're getting away with something. Or how about the athletes? My daughter and I were talking about this recently. Athletes who are paid literally millions of dollars to shoot a basketball or to hit a baseball or to pitch a baseball. Some of these pitchers, they're making literally hundreds of thousands of dollars for every pitch they throw in a game. Now, I realize it represents years of hard work to get there, and of course they have to stay in shape during the baseball season, but seriously, is any athlete worth millions of dollars to play a game? It doesn't seem right, especially when often in their lives they're just living in the flesh. Or how about liars and cheats who flout the law and flaunt their deception? They're just brazen about it. They feel like they're beyond the law. They don't have to tell the truth. They become famous while people who tell the truth and work hard are obscure. And if we think of it too long, we can end up fretting because of evildoers. We can envy them because they seemingly are successful while our hard work doesn't pay off, it seems like. But here's the command: trust in the Lord and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. You see, the end of all of those who are in rebellion against God is mentioned in verse 2. They shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. You don't want to be like that. Yes, they may seem successful and famous and even enjoying life in the moment. But someday they have to stand and answer to a God who is just, who is righteous, who will judge fairly. And on that day, you will be glad that you trusted in the Lord and did good. Jealousy, envy, covetousness are natural responses when we walk in the flesh. But when we walk in the Spirit, we can be at peace, knowing that the righteous judge will do right. As I mentioned earlier in the quote, everything was laid at his nail-scarred feet. Life or death, health or illness, appreciation by others or misunderstanding, success or failure as measured by human standards. Only he himself mattered. End quote. This is someone who has learned to delight in the Lord, and God has indeed given him the desires that his heart ought to have had. Remember that Sunday is our chance to worship the Lord, the one in whom we should delight. Remember, join us, Sunday school, 9:45. Don't want to miss that. 11 o'clock for morning worship, and then 5 o'clock for evening worship, followed by our church's quarterly business meeting. I hope you'll join us in person, and if you can't, set aside time on Sunday to join us virtually.